Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you for Harsha for inviting me uh, to this student mentorship program. And today I'll be talking about a day in life of a data scientist and like what it takes to be a to be a data scientist first of all, right? So before moving into that, let me give a quick introduction about me. So I'm a senior data scientist at Fidelity Investments for past 4.5 years, right? Coming to my education, I have basically specialization in economics, statistics, and econometrics, and optimization. In Fidelity, so my work is mostly focused on machine and deep learning, recommender systems, and building some state-of-the-art reinforcement learning frameworks. Uh, right? And recently, in this year in March, so I got a patent issued in my name regarding the topic of recommender systems using reinforcement learning. So this is all a very quick introduction about me, like what I have done in the past. So let us quickly deep dive into today's agenda that I have set up. So we'll talk about what is data science first of all, and then uh, after that, who who practice data science, like who is a data scientist first of all, because in market there are a lot of definitions going around, right? Everyone has their own definition, like what is a data scientist look like and who is actually a data scientist, right? So I'll throw some light on that, basically just to clarify a true meaning of it. And the third topic would be like coming from economics background, right? So why I choose this field, right? So you will come to know in the later slides that it's not really different. So economics background can pursue data scientist, and it's a very logical step in anyone's after education. And then I'll talk about how a typical data science team look like, right? Because not only economics can pursue this field, but also there are a variety of education backgrounds that can follow this post their education, right? So I'll talk about that. Let's quickly deep dive into what is a data scientist, right? What is a data science actually? Like data science and AI. That we hear this name a lot in today's world, right? If you go to LinkedIn, for example, or if you read any paper and things like that, everyone is talking about data is the new oil, and how we can leverage data to make businesses better. So just sit back, nothing to worry. Data science is nothing but imagine a simple spreadsheet, right? There are a lot of rows and columns, there are numbers in there, and that's all is required to get the journey going, right? It is the fastest. I would say it will be a faster introduction to the world of data science, right? It's just a spreadsheet, so nothing to worry about that. So let us. So what are the applications, right? And it is like unconsciously or unconsciously we in our day-to-day life, right? We always get in touch with some of the AI applications that happen in today's world. So whether it is YouTube, so you log in, you obviously I am sure that you guys log into YouTube, right? You get some when you get to the search button, you get some video recommendations, right? Or you can say like recommended for you. This is nothing but data science going on behind the scenes, right? Whatever you have watched in the past and whatever similar customers that watch in the past to you, the YouTube will recommend those videos to you, right? So this is an AI application that is going on behind the scenes. Another example would be Myntra. So you shop a lot on Myntra, right? It's online shopping. It's a boom today. So you must have seen when you go to let's say add some product to a cart, you get to see like you may we recommend you this product as well, right? Or you may wish to bundle this product with another product. So that is what Myntra is doing in behind the scenes. So based on your past purchases, it recommends you some next best purchases for a customer, right? If you go to Google and you type an English word and you go translate, then it's a Hindi to English or Hindi to English or English to Hindi translation, right? That is also an AI application. It basically understands language, right, in mathematical terms, and then basically try to come up with the best Hindi word for an English word or a vice versa, right? Again, it's a data science application. or another could be Amazon Alexa, right? Play this music. So how Alexa understands your voice, right? Basically, what it does is it will hear your voice and it will, translate your voice to text and then search their database to play that music. That is all. That is also some kind of a recommender system, or let's say a machine learning system that Amazon has developed. So these are a variety of applications, and sometimes we even don't know actually that this is a data science application or a AI application, right? So, folks, I wanted to be a very interactive session. So, feel free to stop anywhere, right? So, I'll be going on, and just feel free to stop if you have any question in mind. Going to next.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead. There was a question.
So like data scientist, like it basically means that taking up a data from an individual and recommending other products like that for business growth.
So, it's one of the applications. So, you correctly said that, but that's only one application, right? Data science has a lot of applications that business are leveraging today, right? A lot. These were just the examples to basically connect the dots, right? Because these things we use a lot in our day-to-day life, right? So it's best to explain data science in with the help of these examples, correct? So that is what.
Yes.
So coming to who is a data scientist, so and how do we get there, right? So on the right hand side of the screen, you can read those 5 or 6 words, right? A mathematical statistician working in a Silicon Valley. So this kind of definition was given to me by one of the professors in Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. So he was also like very confused. Like a lot of definitions are going around in the world. So who is a data scientist? So this is the kind of a very crisp definition that he came, it came into his mind and he shared with me. So as you can see, there are 3 important words there, right? One is mathematics, another is statistics, and third one is silicon, right? So anyone, would like to take a stab at it? Like, what does it mean by just having those words in your mind? Anyone of you?
So mathematical means like solving higher level of equations and
Yeah.
processing it like as we do in Bitcoin. While a transaction, there are a higher level of mathematic equations they solve and they dig Bitcoin, something like that.
Yeah. So Samyak actually raised his hand. So Samyak, can you unmute yourself? I think we lost him. Yeah. Okay. So let me. So given these words, right? Can you infer that how do we get there? Can you guys see a picture in your mind, like what should you do to actually reach there, right? So the 3 words actually represent mathematics 101, statistics 101, and silicon is nothing but a word for, you can say, computer science, right? Coding actually, right? How you can make applications. So let's say there is some algorithm that is running behind YouTube recommendations, right? Now you need the computer science, that knowledge in mind to actually deploy that, right? Because if you don't know that, then how will you uh, create your application like YouTube, right? So you need to have some engineering skills as well. So it's a very good data science. Basically, it's a very nice blend of all the 3 things together, right? If one thing is not in place, the other 2 will fall, right? So you need all the 3 things in place. You need to practice. Basically, it's a complete applicative, job role. A lot of applications. Like I mentioned 4 applications in the previous slide. You can come up with thousands and get crores of applications nowadays, right? Every business problem, any kind of problem is getting solved using data science, right? So as you guys are students, right? You must be using, let's say, any kind of online education platforms, right? Byju's or any any kind of applications, education applications. So those applications are also recommending you courses based on AI applications, right? So what kind of student that signs up there, and what kind of course that the student may like in future, so that they can pursue their career on it based on interest. So that so those education platforms also are using a lot of AI these days. So it's an emerging field, it's a growing field, and so this is what a data scientist look like in a very simple definition, right? So I'll get into this more in the future slides. So before going to that, like why I chose, since I'm coming from economics background, and for past 6 years, I always get these questions, like why you have chosen this field, like why you're not into, let's say, Indian Institute of Economic Growth, or researching economics and things like that. So why you are not there and here? You're in a data science field. It's more of a engineering kind of field and things like that. So why you're there? So it's very simple to answer actually. So uh, while I did my graduation in economics and post-grad in economics, so I did a lot of statistics, right? You do, and folks from economics or business economics or commerce, they can really relate to this. So they do a lot of statistics courses in their education and things like that. So statistics is very much in line with what data scientists do, right? So just a thin line of difference that I am highlighting in the slide. So inference versus prediction. So statistics mostly is used for inferencing. So for example, there is some, basically, let's say, come and see what's going on, right? No return policy. So basically you have data. In statistics, you have data also, right? So in data, what is going on, right? When you do this kind of analysis, this is statistics. Now, when you take one step further, right, the data is there, and what do you infer about data? When you go to next step to this, based on data, tell me what is going to happen in future, right? These two things are very much, there's a thin line of difference between these two. And a data science do a latter part, which is the prediction part. So come and see what brings tomorrow, right? Happy hours after 11 p.m., 50% off. So this is a prediction-based approach. So very thin line of difference versus inference versus prediction. Inference means what is going on, and prediction means what is going to happen in future. This is a very, a very layman kind of a difference, and a very huge application in data science. And any questions on this, folks?
Sir, like this is
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
it's basically for using our data for growing business again. There's like Beats done, Apple did it in 2013, where Apple bought Beats, and at that point of time, Beats have like algorithm that suggests the best songs, and Apple bought it to like end the comparison.
Yeah. So the problem that you just mentioned, right? The acquisition and things like that. So these are all based on data science. Apple must have predicted something, right? That this can be a very good
Competitor.
Competitor and things like that. Yeah, exactly. So there can be a very good use case there, and I'm sure that Apple did a lot of data science there, right, to predict what is going to happen in future, right? So statistics play a very, very, very important aspect in data science. Sorry.
Nothing, sir. I was saying I'm not from statistic. I'm rather from science.
Okay.
I'm more behind the codes,
Okay.
not behind the mathematical numbers.
You will see. Yeah, you will see. When I will go to the data science team look like, then you will see your application as well. So nothing to worry. Okay. So this is the statistics part. Yeah. Next comes let's come to the economics part of it. So since I'm an economics student as always, so I have a deep love for economics. So So not many people know how economics relate to data science, right? So what is so as I earlier mentioned, right? And first of all, apologies if you're not an economics student. So, but I will try to make sense of it, right? I'll try my best. So, so what happens is in typical data science problem, let's say there is a customer, right, and want to predict something about the customer. Let's say customer's preferences. Let's say take a very simple example. Whether if I give a customer a cup of coffee, whether the customer will accept a coffee or not, like a cup of coffee or not, whether his preference is tea or coffee, I don't know, right? I don't know in future, right? What is the customer's preference? I don't know. Sitting today. Now there is a very you can Google this theory as well. There is a theory called revealed preference analysis. There's a theory which we read in economics a lot, right? Which we get in depth into, like, what is this theory. So this theory tells me that the choices that a customer has made in the past, right? So let's say this customer that I present coffee, this customer has sometimes taken up coffee in the past, sometimes taken up tea in the past, right? So I don't really know whether next time he will take coffee or tea, right? It depends. Like, what is the customer's preference? So customer has done choices in the past. Now, using some theory, can I infer something about customers' preferences based on his previous choices, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Like, what can we do? What can be done to let's say predict customers' preferences based on what customer has done in the past, right? This is all revealed preference theory all about. It goes from choices to preferences, right? Now, this is a typical data science problem, and how, and I just mentioned how this problem relates to this theory. Other people will, don't actually know that this theory exists. Actually, it's a very, worked upon theory, and we apply this theory in economics research as well as data science research, both, right? So that is what application of economics in data science. And the right hand side of the equation is of the slide is nothing but a linear regression, right? So again, if folks are not familiar with linear regression, it's basically fitting the equation, right? So y in this is basically my preference, future preference, and x is basically my choices in the past, right? And we fit some equation, some kind of equation, mathematical equation to this, and then this equation will be able to tell me customers' preferences when I get some new data points for some other customers or things like that in a very right. So this kind of things we actually like I was trained on this kind of a subjects and things like that. That is the reason I chose this field, like the science field, because it's a huge applicative environment that I have got for what I've learned in the past during my courses. So I hope I make justice to this. I'm sorry, you have not about this, these equations. Enthusiastic about it, and you need to learn these things to be able to pursue your career into data science. Any questions, folks, on this?
No, sir.
Okay. Coming to so I have talked about statistics. I talked about economics, right? Now let's come to mathematics, the crucial part of data science, right? So I think most of you must have done linear algebra, functions, derivatives, those abstract mathematics. What is the value of x? That's a huge joke now. Like, what is the value of x? Always trying to find out that value, but no one is able to find right now. So this is nothing but application of mathematics again. You have those equations in place, and how do you want to estimate those equations? How do you want to learn from data, right? The data that you have, how you want to learn that? How do you want to learn from it, right? So this is but nothing but linear regression under the hood, dot product. Just examples, and those functions and derivatives are used to compute those equations. So this is again the mathematics part of it, where we use in day-to-day life. Actually, every day, on an everyday basis, we use these kind of analysis, and we code this. So someone was from coding background, right? So we actually don't do it in paper. We actually code these things into system, and system will do this for us, right? So again, the knowledge of mathematics is not enough. The knowledge, it's also important to how to convey these kind of let's say code these kind of things into computer, right? The computer should do for you the job for you. Not sit with pen and paper and solve these important aspect of computer science come into picture, right? You need to be a very good coder to tell your thoughts to the machine. Okay, machine, because machine doesn't have brain, right? As you tell your machine, the machine will do that work for you. Now it's your job that the work you tell machine to do should be correct, right? Should be logical, should be backed by theory, things. So all these three, statistics, mathematics, economics, it will go a waste if you don't know these concepts to computer, right? So this is what this is what importance of I would say computer science coding, hacker, I would say these things and these things to computer. So next thing, like it's a very generic slide. So data is an oil, right? We have a lot of data sets nowadays. If the data set is in row and column format, it's a tabular data, right? Everyone is aware of this Excel spreadsheet, right? We have text data. So as I use example of Google Translate, right? So Google translates from English to Hindi to English. Now it needs to even build that application. First of all, they need a lot of data sets. Let's say they need a lot of text data, right? English sentences, Hindi sentences, right? They need that kind of text, a huge amount of text to train those kind of algorithms to come up with that application, Google Translate. You can, there are image processing nowadays. Image is very, so let's say if you go to some cafe and you see, CCTV camera there, and on the big screen, let's say you go without mask, right? Nowadays you have to travel with mask uh, on your face, right? So let's say there are applications nowadays where, let's say, when you are entering some office premises or entering some coffee shop, then your image will be displayed on the big TV, and that TV will shout out the warning that please wear mask if you are not wearing a mask. That's also a very good application of AI, right? The computer will process your video, your image. It will process by the computer, and it will try to infer whether you're wearing a mask or not, right? And it will throw warnings if you're not wearing mask. If it will throw warnings on.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir.
Sir, it's not in the meeting actually.
Wait.
Sir will be joining in a moment.
Hello.
Hey, sorry, I think there was some issue with the network. Yeah,
No
can you
problem.
guys? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So yeah. So so this slide, the application part and like anything.
So I have one. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, data is a new oil. These
Mm-hmm.
days, apps like TikTok was banned because all the copy and the same happen in our houses like Google Home and the Alexa. They are taking our like audio, and if they are listening to any they are showing the ads. So isn't it quite
Yes.
unethical to use the data, but
Yes.
as in the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely it is a hit to a privacy act. Definitely. There is no doubt, right? So what is because of these threats, right? Because of this, privacy issues and these stuff going on. So there are like the future, how future looks like in this, right? So AI, a lot of communities are coming up with AI norms actually, right? Now these days because of their, you must have heard about deep fake, right? Images of Donald Trump, yeah, the deep fake actually. Uh, alter that speech, altered that Donald Trump speech, right? And to perfection, like 100% accuracy. So these days, what is happening is a lot of communities. I'll not talk about. I am not sure, well in the India right now. Indian, for example, the norms, but US is coming up with a lot of AI norms actually, right, to restrict companies to respect privacy first of all. So I can give you one very quick example. So in Fidelity, right, as I work for Fidelity, so in Fidelity, like when we create some recommendations, product recommendations, right, we deliberately kick out variables like gender, right? Let's say there is some algorithm that predicts that a product should is good for a, like if we pitch this product to a male candidate, this will have higher acceptance versus a female candidate. Now that's a wrong thing to do, right? It's a gender biased algorithm, right? So in US actually there are a lot of AI norms that are coming into place where the companies will be penalized if they, if auditing reveals that you are creating some gender biased algorithms or you're hitting the privacy of the customers. So there are like norms that are coming into picture, and we are also following those norms pretty closely, like, those norms. And so we make sure that our algorithms or our recommender systems, they are not gender biased, they're gender neutral. And this can be extrapolated to race also, like black versus white. So US, as you know, there's a lot of heat among blacks and whites, right? So we try to see like if the data and the data tells the story in a very unbiased way, right? So AI norms are definitely, it's a long journey to go. I definitely get that it's a long journey to go, but those things are coming into picture slowly. That's all what I can say to this question.
So the US government itself has like उन्होंने माना है that they were taking the data from Verizon. If you have saw the movie, it's on Netflix. Edward Snowden. The I don't know
Sorry,
the
I'm not.
exact movie name.
Sorry, I'm not. I have not watched that, but yeah. So AI
So
norms
the
will definitely protect. AI norms will definitely protect customers. Privacy. That's for sure. It's a long journey, but
so
that will
I
happen.
don't think so. Yes.
No, companies are actually, if you have seen the interview of, US, judges versus Google CEO, right? So a lot of
Yes, sir.
questions were coming up there. I'm sure like everybody has saw. So a lot of points were raised, and Google was trying to able to back those arguments. But again, as I mentioned, right, it's a long journey to go. It's not easy to audit these kind of firms to that is hitting our privacy, but it's a long journey to go. People are actually very concerned right now. Even I as a data scientist also, I'm very concerned. When I use my Instagram, I get those recommendations on Amazon and things like that. So even I am also concerned. right? As a data scientist, I'm also concerned. So it not right now. It's a very baby stage, I would say, but it will grow. This will grow, and it will restrict the firms for using this kind of data.
So this
Yeah.
things will be like they are actually taking our data for their own benefit, and
Yeah.
I don't think so. The privacy thing, we don't
Yeah,
have
these are
any
the
P of privacy.
Yeah, definitely. I can't agree more on this. Privacy is a big, negative externality, I would say, to the new data-driven environment. But again, long journey.
Yes, sure.
So, coming to very, I'm sure like the audience here like have uh, heard these kind of like what kind of algorithms that we use on a daily basis. Like these are the top 10 algorithms. I'll not name everything. I'll share this deck, and people can search, Google it, and get those meanings. But these are like again mathematical algorithms, right? All of these are driven by mathematics and statistics, right? The first two words for a data science definition, right? All of these things are driven by mathematics and statistics. So these are the like variety of algorithms that we use and get those predictions, like get those recommendations out from simple data, simple spreadsheet data. We get those meaningful insights, statistical insights, recommendations, predictions, all of these things we come up with using these on the data sets. So going to next, this is a typical a day in the life of a data scientist. This slide actually talks about. So let's say we get some business. So first of all, right, before even solving, there should be a problem, right? Business problem. Let's say, what are the which customers in my data set are good customers for credit card, or which customers are good for this kind of product, right? Or another kind of product, something like that. So the first step for us is to convert that business problem into a data problem, and that is a very challenging aspect of data science, right? Most of the problems are not directly convertible to a data problem. We spend a lot of time convert that business problem. So basically imagine it's a plain English problem, and now you want to translate that English problem into a data problem, right? So that is what a data scientist do at the first go. The first step is the conversion, because without converting, I can't even solve it. Next thing is feature engineering. So next, basically, after the business problem is converted to a data problem, the second thing is what kind of variables that I want to test out. For this, let's say I want to predict whether a customer is good for credit card, right? So I'll need customers' past history. So whether the customer has done, let's say, has purchased a credit card in history also, right? What kind of performance he do, whether what was the credit limit for the credit card that he purchased. Like there are ample of X variables that I can build, to predict whether the customer is good for a credit card or not, right? So this is a feature engineering step, and the third step is feature selection, right? When you do a feature engineering, not all the features are very important, right? So let's say, for the credit card problem, right? Let's say there is some variable that you think is very useful, for the problem itself. But when you do feature selection, you infer that, okay, this variable that I thought is not very useful, right? It's not very useful. It's not adding to what I want in the final product, right? So that's the picture. Not all the variables are important. We only keep the important variables, right? And that is done by, again, mathematics, right? Maths and stats. Or every step you will encounter mathematics and statistics, right? So this is the third step, and then fourth is again training the models. As I have those, I mentioned those algorithms, right? Sorry, I mentioned those algorithms, right? So these are the like top 10, and we use at the model building stage. So you can see before even coming to top algorithm training part, we do the first three steps, right? And fourth step is basically model building and those things. Next step is once you build a model, now how you want to use that. You have built it, right? You have that recommendations algorithm in place. Now, how you want to use it? Evaluation, whether it is doing a good job or not. Right? You have trained failing the problem you're trying to solve, right? So it's of no use. So you really test that in your environment. You really test that thing, right? Whether it's doing a good job or not. Right? And then come into the inference. Like basically, if it's doing a good job, then you come up with I mentioned in the first slide, right? Statistical inference, right? So you draw some insights out of it, right? So this full journey of 1 to 6, it will basically give you good recommendations. Also, it will build on like what kind of insights you have derived. Like let's say business has some hypothesis in mind and data is telling otherwise. So you will convey those findings to the stakeholders, or to the business stakeholders, and you'll say, okay, data is telling us this. Now revise your expectations based on data, right? So these are the 6 steps that typically we follow in a typical day as we speak. So right, so I'm sure like most of these things, like there's some jargon. I understand that. When I started learning these, even I was like very overwhelmed, like what is these words and things like that. Still, nothing to worry. It's a growing field, and keep learning. So that is the only key for this. If at all, first of all, interest is a very important aspect. If you are at all interested in this field, then only go for it. Any thoughts, guys? Any questions?
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
As like
Go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. I can't hear you. Hello.
Maybe you are not audible.
Okay, I think we'll take the questions at the end. That's fine. Let's move ahead, and I'll have some time for questions as well. Nothing to worry. So coming to our last topic, right? Like how a data science team look like, right? So somebody from coding background, actually, I am not sure who was the person. So not familiar with statistics and mathematics, but he was like interested in coding. So you also have a chance, right? It's nothing to worry. So how a typical data science team look like, right? So let me give you a very quick glimpse of, like, this is a what data science is. So you can see in the middle you have a Venn diagram, right? In the first Venn diagram you have a computer science. In the second you have statistics and mathematics, and in the third thing you have business, right? In the third Venn diagram. So this kind of slide is kind of self-explanatory. Like, what skills do you need to be a good data scientist, to pursue this field, right? And these are like non-negotiable fields. You have to do this, right? There is no negotiable. So on the left-hand side of this slide, you can see Python, Amazon Web Services, automation. So this is the left-hand side is basically nothing but coding. All it starts with the coding. You can see Python, right? So on a day-to-day basis, like for all our work, we use Python, we use SQL, language, computer language, the language that we need to convey our ideas to the computer, right? This is what we need, and this is non-negotiable, right? If you can't do that, if you don't have interest in that, I would say interest, not actually you can do it or not. If you have interest, then it's the place for you, right? 24 hours you will go to like Python coding complex structures and things like that. The right hand side is nothing but statistics. You can see some distribution there, normal distribution. You see some business problem, because you need business problem to solve, right? You need those business acumen. You need to understand business to solve it. right? If you don't understand the business, how will you solve it, right? So because the business problems comes from the business, so you need to understand a bit closely. You need to follow this very closely. You need mathematics and all that stuff. So in the middle, when the three circles intersect, then that is what we call a data science team, right? So for example, in Fidelity, right, in my team, you have folks coming from mathematics, you have folks coming from statistics, you have folks coming from economics, and you have folks coming from computer science, right? Now, I as a person, I am good at, from my education background, I am good at statistics and mathematics, but I'm not good at coding, right? Because we don't do that much coding in economics, right? And the other person who is a computer scientist, right, he has done a lot of, or he or she has done a lot of computer science, like coding, C++, he can, whatever we give him, like he can code that, right? So now when these kind of folks sit together on a single business problem, right, when these two folks, like I and my colleague, who is a computer scientist, we sit together on a project, I learn from him coding, and he learns from me the statistics and mathematics part of it, right? So it's a synergy. So not everyone will be able to get these three things at like one go, right? No, not everyone is well versed with all the three things at the same time. So you need to build up, right? First, the right hand side, the blue circle is what I represent myself, but my colleague is the orange circle, right? And when we two get together on a single project, it's a learning that is going on, right? So now I think all of you as my audience would be able to make sense out of it, right? You need to have a variety of education backgrounds in your team, right? A data scientist is not a single person; it's a team, right? That will share knowledge to one another and then come up with those complex AI applications that you see. And the third thing, definitely, the black circle is business, for which like this, for the organization that you are working, right? You need to know the business. You need to have that business acumen, right? And both of the guys, me and my teammate, who is a computer scientist, we both will have that kind of understanding of business to jump on solving the business problem. So this is the most insightful thing that I have learned in like past 6 years. Not a single person, but a team is called a data science team. So any folks, any questions till now? I think I am done with my presentation. Questions time.
So as we imagine like a scientist will test tubes and doing chemical reaction, how can we imagine? Just as imagine a data scientist is working on it.
Sir, I
Sorry,
have also a similar question, like how we
sorry,
really
can you
like
go ahead? Yes, please go ahead.
sir, I was asking what we really like need to do, like many steps after passing from the college, what we need to do forward to become a data scientist.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very you can say sought after question. Like a lot of questions. Like I get these questions a lot. So imagine this: like data science is not a degree. First of all, it's not a degree. So right now, if you Google data science degree, right, you will get a lot of colleges giving those degrees, right? Whether it is IIM, whether it is ISI, whether it is any kind of institution, they are offering data science courses, right? But in my experience, I would say that data science is not a degree; it's a skill that you acquire over time, right? You just need to be, be there, have have interest in these kind of things. Basically, first of all, interest is very important because it's not. So as you imagine this band diagram previously, a lot of skills are required, right? Not a single degree can give you those skills, right? That is why you pursue these skills, you pursue those, and then that's what I did for my career. right? I was not good at coding. I was not at all good at coding because that was not my, my course. My not course was not coding, and it is not required also. But I learned that over time. So try to pursue courses where, let's say, you have knowledge of the two circles that I mentioned, like two out of three circles, and that should be fine. So in my team, for example, just to reiterate, in my team, nobody has done a data science course, data science degree of 2 years. Let's say those degrees that are given by a lot of institutes. I have a team of like around 45 people. Not a single person did any data science specific masters or bachelors, right? They are coming from masters in mathematics, they're coming from masters in economics, they're coming from masters in statistics, they're coming from civil engineering, they're coming from industrial engineering, like any sort of this thing, right? So what I would say is, if you have interest, then master that interest first of all. Master that. Try to build those skills first of all. Whether doing a specific course or not, that doesn't matter, right? So does that answer your question? Sorry, I can't hear you if you are saying something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So any other question for me?
Sir, I was asking you like how what is the field of work of a data scientist? How like working environment and what
Yeah,
sort of
exactly.
companies they work like
So I think
like
nowadays
still
so nowadays every company is adopting data science because data is very important for every company, right? So even like if I talk about Fidelity Investments, we have a huge team of 85 data scientists spread across India and US, right? And daily basis we do that, what I just mentioned. Data, we get the data, we get the algorithms, and coding and things like that. So every company, if you name any company, they must be doing data science at their at some point of time, right? It's that important nowadays. You can look for any kind of company. That doesn't matter.
that's all.
Guys, you can write your question in chat box also.
Yeah, feel free to reach out, guys. So, like at the closing, I would really emphasize one thing here. A lot of free competitions that are viable. I don't know, a lot of companies are hosting competitions nowadays. They provide you data and do that, build that recommendations, on your local machine and things like that. So if you're really interested, try those things. You will get to know, you will read something about it. You will get to know like what is this field and how this works, right? Because it's all application. It's all application. So I would say if you have interest, then only pursue. Otherwise, it can be very hectic if the person is going just for because I want to do data science, right? And don't have interest, basically just following what everyone is doing, data science, right? So it will be very difficult for that person. So interest is a very important thing that you need to have to even pursue this kind of career. So that's a word of caution that I would give. And if I pose a question on work environment, so work environment is basically so we talk about my work. It's basically a mix of those business problems as well as research, right? So this field why I said previously that this field is more of a skill than a degree, because this field is changing a lot, on everyday basis. This field is very dynamic, and those kind of dynamic things cannot be taught in some kind of course. Those things cannot be taught, because one day some technology is there and some algorithm is there, and the next day some improvement of that algorithm will come, right? The very next day. It's that dynamic in nature. So you need to be well prepared with, keeping yourself up to date, reading those papers, reading journals, researching a lot, right? It's a very time consuming process, but at the same time it's very interesting also. So that is why I said that it's a skill, not a degree. You need to have interest, you need to have basics of maths, you need to know basics of stats, coding, and all that stuff that I talked about. So folks, that is all from my end. Over to you.
Okay. Now, I would like to thank Mr. Akshay sir. We're truly thankful to have a genius mentor like you. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank to the organizing committee convener, Dr. Darshan Pandey, for their unfailing support and coordination. Our heartfelt, our heartfelt thanks to our students for active participation. With these warm words and message, we move to the end of the today's session. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you.